Renny Show is brought to you by Johnston Group, Vittorio Rossi, Trans-Canada Brewing, Lou Ferlin, Cambrian Credit Union, and Homefield.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, about to be joined by Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Together, we are Kenny and Renny, and this is the Kenny and Renny post-game show after what can not be said anything other than it is undoubtedly the Winnipeg Jets' biggest victory of the 2022-2023 season. An absolutely dominant performance in running the Nashville Predators out of the rink. The Winnipeg Jets showed the Nashville Predators for who they are in that game. The Nashville Predators, yes, they have been doing some amazing things lately. Yes, they've beaten some pretty good teams. They've knocked off the first place team in the NHL. I think they've knocked off 3 of the top 5 teams in the NHL in the last little while on this little run that they've been going on here. But in the end, what the Nashville Predators are a deeply banged up team, missing 4 of their most offensive players, 4 of their best players. And they are a young team that has sold at the trade deadline, who have been getting by on amazing performances from unexpected places. For example, the last game that they played when they knocked off the Carolina Hurricanes, the first player to score a goal in that game, it was their 6th goal of the game. The next 2 players to score goals in that game, it was their 2nd goals on the season. And the player that had the most points in that game for the Nashville Predators, it was his first 2 points of his entire NHL career. I mean, that is unexpected scoring coming from the very last place you would expect it to come from. That's what they've needed to do to survive, and it caught up with them tonight against a Winnipeg Jets team that was just bigger, faster, stronger, more skilled, has more veteran leadership. This was how the Winnipeg Jets, this is what everyone has been waiting for from the Winnipeg Jets. Again, we talk so much about belief. Is there reason to believe? You have to admire that the Winnipeg Jets, on a night where they needed to win, came up with a performance like that. This was 2 teams in totally different classes. And because of that, you can essentially count the Nashville Predators out. Now, I know what everyone's going to say because I've been counting the Nashville Predators out for an extremely long time, but this is the reason why you can be as good as the Nashville Predators have been down the stretch, but it comes down to a game like this, and that's it. It's over for them. Now, sure, they could beat the Calgary Flames and stay in this, and then they go into the last 2 games of the season. They would have to do what the Jets are going to be playing, they will be playing who the Jets are going to be playing in their last 2 games of the season as they play the Minnesota Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. It was always an uphill grind for them, but basically the Winnipeg Jets can put an end to all of this with a win over the San Jose Sharks. Means that Nashville would have to be perfect going forward, and the Winnipeg Jets would have to lose out their next couple of games. Watching the score clock right now, what's happening between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames down 2-0 in that game. It's not over. We've seen them come back. I think they were down 2-0 to the Canucks last time they played, but this is just playing with fire too often. If you are the Calgary Flames, this is, I know this, and I know that people, have been texting me and messaging me over the last little while saying, Renny, do you still believe the Winnipeg Jets are going to make the playoffs? I had someone very aggressively say, what is your problem? Why will you not admit the Winnipeg Jets are in trouble in this situation? Listen, there's no part of me that I think people can go back on and look and see that I've been saying that the Winnipeg Jets and the way that they're playing are absolutely fine. It has always been predicated, my belief that the Winnipeg Jets are going to go to the playoffs. It's been predicated on the fact that as low as they have sank, they can't quite sink low enough to take themselves out of this, and that I don't have the faith in the teams chasing them to get above the Jets in the standings. Now, the Nashville Predators, they are plucky. They showed beyond what I thought that they were capable of showing. But in the end, what the Nashville Predators are what you saw them on the ice tonight, a team that is incapable of raising their level to a place where the Winnipeg Jets raise their level tonight. This was a bit of a no-show on the night for the Nashville Predators, and all credit to the Winnipeg Jets. I think the Winnipeg Jets came out and sent a message to Nashville that if you want this game, you are going to have to bleed. You are going to have to throw everything out there. You are going to have to go beyond what you think you're capable of doing to beat us here tonight. And the Nashville Predators clearly just looked and thought, you know what, not our night. We're going to have to move on. They put the Nashville Predators into a position where the Nashville Predators took their playoff hopes and easily handed them over to the Winnipeg Jets. And that's a great game by the Winnipeg Jets to have them do exactly that. Now, as for the stars of the game, you take a look around, there's been a lot of people all over Mark Scheifele this season. Rightfully so, but at a time of year when they needed him, Mark Scheifele shows up and has just an absolutely great game. Nick Ehlers was phenomenal in that game. I think it was Rick Bowness who said that was Nick Ehlers' best game that he's seen from him this season. In a game where everyone on the Jets looked fast, Nick Ehlers looked next level fast. And you know, he got on the ice and you could see that the Nashville Predators, they just sat back and watched. There wasn't even an attempt to try and catch him. There was barely an attempt to contain him. They basically found a spot on the ice in a zone, the best place to defend the ice in a zone, and just stood there and watched him skate around. That was a marvelous performance by him on the night. I know a lot of people are throwing out for the Lamplighters. They're talking about not just Mark Scheifele. They're talking about Neil Pionk. Big goal for him, second game in a row where he has played a role in putting away the Nashville Predators. So he's come alive at a crucial time. It is very interesting, the response we saw, because I know that there were a lot of people who were asking me before the game, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? And I've said to them the same thing that I've said on this show numerous times. I have no idea what to expect from the Winnipeg Jets. I have no idea which version of the Winnipeg Jets are going to show up. And I do believe at the start of that game that the shots were 8-2 at some point for the Nashville Predators. Then the Jets just essentially said, you're not allowed to play with the puck anymore. This was the Rick Bowness style, again, that he talked about going through training camp, where he said, we just want, if we lose the puck, we want to go get it back. When the Nashville Predators got the puck, they were getting the puck to give it directly and straight away back to the Winnipeg Jets. They were not allowed to play with the puck in this game. They were not allowed to have zone time. They were rarely allowed to be in the Winnipeg Jets zone. This is just absolutely dominant. I'm going to go up early here because I'm going to say it. You know, I know Ken's going to have his, and everyone, I want to hear everyone's Johnson Group got you covered play of the game. But for me, this is another one of those games, and this is what you want to hear when it comes from the Winnipeg Jets. The got you covered play of the game, essentially, to me, is the Rick Bowness system, because this is back to what is supposed to allow the Winnipeg Jets to succeed. You can run into a hot goalie, and one of the hottest goalies in the NHL in UC Saros, and a player that should no doubt, most definitely be given Vezina Trophy consideration. The same way people said in the year that Connor Hellebuyck won the Vezina Trophy, that, you know, despite the fact of whether he got his team into the playoffs or out of it, I remember a lot of people arguing at that year that regardless of whether the Jets made the playoffs or not, Connor Hellebuyck should be considered for the Vezina Trophy. UC Saros showed tonight why that is the case with him. His team is not going to make the playoffs, but they had a chance to make the playoffs, resting solely on the shoulders of UC Saros. Rick Bowness said it before the game. If you watch the interview I did with him before the game, asked why this team is a tough team to beat, he said it starts with the goalie and basically ends with the goaltender. He is that good the way he's going. He showed on this night that he was a dominant goaltender, and yet the Jets still got by them. You take a look at the Pionk goal, something a lot of people aren't talking about. Yes, it was a wiring of a shot, but there was goaltender interference, not by the Jets, but by the Predators' own defenseman who bumped into the goaltender and kept him from being able to make that save. Who knows? Maybe he saves that one, and this is a 1-0 white knuckling nail biter right down to the very end. UC Saros was the best player in this game here tonight, no doubt about it. But the Winnipeg Jets playing the Rick Bowness system, this is what happens. You can win a game in which a goaltender heads out to try and steal you. Everyone always talks about the Jets getting goalied and they lament and they hang their head. You can get goalied, and the Winnipeg Jets got goalied on this night by UC Saros, and they still won the game. Why? Because the Rick Bowness system made it so that there was going to be no other outcome. The Jets played it to a T, and that's why we are talking about the Winnipeg Jets being fully and completely in the driver's seat. And that's why we're also probably talking about Ken and I booking our tickets and getting ready to head down to Las Vegas in a little over a week's time for the first round of the playoffs, likely between the Winnipeg Jets and the Vegas Golden Knights. That's my take on this whole thing. Time to bring in Kenny, get his take on it, the man with the best music in the business. Here comes Ken Wiebe, everybody. Kenny, our good friend T. Will is back doing T. Will things, so Renny says the Jets are going to make the playoffs, full stop, weeks ago. Mocks fans for believing after last game. Now back to the Jets are a shoe-in, checks notes. Yep, that sounds like Renny. I'm going to have to start providing instructions for T. Will to try and figure out and understand what is being said in this show. I'll take him through. It'll be like the remedial class version of Kenny and Renny, where we can get him, through some of the less complicated things. But Ken, take a look at a game like tonight. Absolutely dominant. I don't know what more is to be said about the Winnipeg Jets, but let's get at it. We got a lot of time to talk about it. What'd you see?
Yeah, interesting tilt. I know this is one of the nights that you get to say I told you so about the Predators, who have been playing really good hockey. They sort of seem to run out of gasoline in this one against the Jets, Sean. There's no doubt that they were the second fastest team out on the ice, and they were dominated. They were outskated. I would, outworked for the majority of the game, and that's not to knock the work ethic, because this is a team that clearly has had its work boots on for the last month as they've tried to scratch and claw their way into this playoff race, and the fact that they've stayed in it as long as they have deserves credit and kudos. But the Jets found another gear like they needed to, Sean. We've been talking about the Jets needing to find some urgency in their game, and this was everything that Wednesday wasn't, in terms of the way they skated and the way that they didn't get knocked off track in the first period, where the game was filled with tension and the Jets were unable to get one behind UC Saros, who, as you've mentioned off the top, was excellent in the hockey game. So for me, it's a step forward for the Jets. There's no doubt about that. The thing we always talk about, what are the Jets made of, was the topic of the day going into the game. Blake Wheeler brought it up. It's a term Rick Bowness has used recently. And tonight what we found out about the Jets is that they have another gear when they choose to crank themselves into it. And they most definitely did that on this evening against a team that was chasing them. We said this going into the game, and I'm guessing you said it on the broadcast, and I certainly said it in a few interviews leading into the game, including one in Nashville on their pregame show, and another with our good friends in Colorado, who I'll be fortunate to be seeing on Thursday. If the Jets couldn't beat the Nashville Predators after losing to the Calgary Flames, they did not deserve to be in the playoffs, quite frankly, no matter how great their start was when they won 20 games and lost 9 in regulation and 1 in extra time out of the first 30. But now their next test is, what are you going to do against the San Jose Sharks, a team that's already beaten them twice this year in 2 meetings. One of them went to extra time, but they also lost in regulation time. So it's interesting to me, Sean. What I would say here is this. Nikolai Ehlers had his best game of the season. His legs were back. He was absolutely flying throughout this hockey game. He was, as Weaver says in the chat room here, Ehlers was the engine driving the Jets' play tonight, and I couldn't agree more. It's what we talked about, Sean, in our post-game hit for Sportsnet. I thought he was absolutely dominant in the game. Mark Scheifele scores the big goal, Sean. There's no doubt about this. Was it his best game? I don't think it was his best game, but at a time of the year when the Jets need Mark Scheifele to grab hold of the game, he's got the game-winning goal, and he was active all game. I know you and I talked about this before we went on the air. Mark was involved right from the beginning of the game. He had a great scoring chance on that Nikolai Ehlers pass on the back door. The redirection went off the post. Looked like Scheifele was going to get to the rebound first. He didn't. But it showed he was involved, and he was getting chances and getting opportunities, creating opportunities. Kyle Connor was involved. Pierre-Luc Dubois led all players with 13 shot attempts in the game. And the Jets, I agree with you completely in terms of structure. The Jets were very structured. And, yeah, I mean, do the Nashville Predators have their best lineup? No, but that lineup has beaten teams that lead their division throughout the course of the last 2 weeks, including the league-leading Boston Bruins, the Vegas Golden Knights, and Carolina Hurricanes. All teams that lead their division. So, did they get lucky in some ways that Nashville didn't have Roman Josi? Of course, but to me, that's not relevant.
Not just Roman Josi.
No, they're missing 11 players. They're missing. Josi's their best player.
Yes, but they're also missing their next best player, and then their next best player.
Their best player is Saros.
What they have out of their lineup right now would be the equivalent of the Winnipeg Jets not having Josh Morrissey, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Pierre-Luc Dubois.
My point is they've beaten those teams that I mentioned, Sean, without those players. So you don't discount a win, just like you don't discount a win for them doing it without those players. Are they fortunate? Of course they are.
Yeah. I mean, and here I will say this. I think this point has to be made because I know that there's already people in the chat room, and some people are saying, this is an AHL squad that they beat, and some people are saying like, hey,
no, that's insulting.
They just beat some really, really good teams. But the fact of the matter is, some of the people driving the bus for this team right now, the players that they were leaning on are players who were in the AHL until they sold at the trade deadline and until these injuries happen. So I don't agree that it's insulting. This is very much a representation of the depth of this organization, not a representation of what the Nashville Predators are. And yes, they knocked off certain of these other teams. The difference, I would say, is the Nashville Predators have been finding against really good teams, the Boston Bruins, like you said, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Carolina Hurricanes. They've been finding the right effort to beat teams on those nights. But what they have not faced in those teams, Ken, is a team with the desperation and the need to win a game the way you saw from the Winnipeg Jets. I can tell you right now, what you saw from the Hurricanes against the Nashville Predators in their last game was not the very best that the Carolina Hurricanes have to offer. And I saw the game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Nashville Predators. It was not the very best that the Vegas Golden Knights have to offer. Same thing with the Boston Bruins. We know clearly that it was not the best that the Boston Bruins had to offer. What we saw tonight was a clear indication of what the best that the Winnipeg Jets have to offer. And what we saw tonight was a team in the Nashville Predators that crumbled underneath that pressure and were not able to compete in that environment. It's understandable. This is what we've been waiting for from the Nashville Predators, that when true heat was put on them, how would they respond? Tested under heat. And we saw that tonight. Like, if everyone wants to take away from this and like take the glasses off and say, now let's go over to the other side of the rink and let's break this down. If you're a Nashville Predators fan, if you take a look at this game, do you just say, well, the Winnipeg Jets are the best team that God has ever created and there's just no possible competing with them? They are that far ahead of the Boston Bruins, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Carolina Hurricanes? No, if you're on the other side of things, you're looking and you're seeing that in the most important game of the season for your team was essentially a no-show. That's what happened on the other side of the ice tonight. A lot of that has to do with the Winnipeg Jets and what they put forward, but no one should be looking at this and saying, hey, in very Nashville Predators-esque, hey, we just beat let's put a banner up in the standings. We just beat the team that beat Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins.
Sure. My point is that the Jets didn't show up with this level of urgency on Wednesday, so there was no way of guaranteeing it was going to be there today. So did Nashville have a tough night? Sure, but I don't know. I mean, we talked with John Hines this morning. He made it pretty clear that his team hadn't crumbled this year and that the guys that have come up were deserving of the opportunities they've gotten. And
no doubt.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Hold on. No doubt. He also said to us before the game that his team is a team that is not under the pressure that the Calgary Flames or the Winnipeg
external
Jets
pressure.
Under. External pressure. Right. But they ran into pressure. Like things got real for them tonight and they crumbled.
Sure. I mean, if Zach Sanford spent the majority of this year in the American Hockey League. Today he's on the top line playing 18 minutes. So
exactly. And I mean, we all know who Zach Sanford is. We saw him last year, and he was one of the guys who stood out most tonight on that roster. He was one of the guys who – so, I mean, that should tell you something about the guy, the Luke Evangelistas, some of the younger guys on this team, the Trennans, whoever else, the guys who have been stepping up in this moment, they were nowhere to be found tonight because they're not there. They're not there at this stage in their career to be able to handle a game with those kind of stakes against a team that comes out and plays the way the Winnipeg Jets played. They're not there yet. So, I mean, it's been a good run for the Nashville Predators. It's been a good experience for some young players who come in and get the feeling that they beat some big teams and they took a team on a run. But when it came down to it, one of these teams was always far more capable and ready to make a playoff push than the other.
Well, tonight they were, but I just don't think it's fair to discount what the Predators have done up to this point. And I thought Cody Glass, the Winnipegger, had a couple of really good scoring chances. Was he a dominant player? No, but he was a player that's improved a lot. He rattles a puck off the crossbar in tight, made a really smart play to create a shooting lane. So I don't think that they crumbled. I mean, they were definitely wildly outplayed.
They crumbled.
Okay, let's talk more about the Jets.
Their goaltender didn't. Sure we can. Before we do that, got a shout out from our main man Dallas Paul is here, who says liking both the ties tonight. A+. Well, it's always an A+ when you go see Frankie and the boys down at Vittorio Rossi. Go see them on Corydon Avenue. This is most definitely a Frankie special from head to toe. Because I don't have the headband on yet. I don't have it on yet. But if you want to look like Kenny and Renny, you know what to do. Head down and see the boys over at Vittorio Rossi. Ask for Frankie and the boys and tell them Kenny and Renny sent you. And hey, it's been I guess it hasn't been asked for, but let's get at it anyways because we've already talked about it. Let's make this a Sean's headband version of the Kenny and Renny show. Here we go. Ken, I got to tell you something. Stonewall Dave is just all over me here tonight. Says debating getting a job as a cleaner at CLC so I can go heckle Renny Wiz on one of his hot take streaks. I spent like 5 minutes before this very show messaging back and forth with Stonewall Dave being a nice guy. I think I'm being too nice of a guy here, because boy, talking to me nice in messages and then acting tough in the chat room. I got to tell you something, Stonewall Dave. That's poor form, my man. Very, very poor form. Let's move on. Let's go to Nick Ehlers. Let's just get to the TransCanada Brewing Company lamplighter of the game. What you got there, Ken?
Yeah, I mean, the Pionk goal is the prettier goal, but for all of it, what it represented, to me, the lamplighter is the Scheifele goal, because on a night where for himself looked like he might not have the good fortune going his way, hitting the post early, having a couple of other opportunities to score, and with the Jets having a barrage of shots and basically making it a shooting gallery for UC Saros in the second period, Mark Scheifele's goal at 15:06 of the second allowed the Jets to take a collective deep breath in a game where there was tons of tension, even though they were carrying the play. So was it a bar down special? Was it a end-to-end special? No. But Sean, we talk about snake charmer offense all the time. Scheifele's 40th of the season is created by multiple offensive zone shifts and on a successful line change, where Blake Wheeler had gone off, Nemestikov was still on, and Mark Scheifele takes the puck, shows good patience, accelerates through the middle of the ice, sees a lane, and beats UC Saros, who got a piece of it, and the puck got knocked off his glove, hits the post, and goes in. So instead of the beauty and the precision of the Nikolai Ehlers goal, which we'll talk more about, to me it's more about the Jets' stick-to-itiveness in a game where we've seen them alter their path and game plan. Instead of doing that, they stuck with it. They got a reward on a goal. And because they didn't abandon ship in that situation, I think Mark Scheifele's goal has to be the lamplighter, because it was another example of the Jets staying with it and being rewarded for strong play on a night where they could have just as easily found themselves behind 1-0 with a bad break.
I thought that Mark Scheifele was absolutely great tonight. At every point of this game, this is what you're looking for from Mark Scheifele. It's interesting because going into that game, we wanted to tell a story about Mark Scheifele, and the story that you had to tell about him is basically what he's done has correlated with the drop in the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, there was a stretch there. I think he had 13 points over his previous 21 games before this. That's not going to get it done, right? Like, this is a guy who has been a point per game player for the Winnipeg Jets for 6 straight seasons.
6 years.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen this year. It's way too far out. But he does come out and get his first 40-goal season. So take whatever you want out of that balance. But we know from the comments in the chat room, from the things that we've had to talk about, that Mark Scheifele, the effort hasn't been there. The care level hasn't been there. Tonight it was there, and you see what he looks like when all those things are there. And he's one of the reasons the Winnipeg Jets get to be an absolutely dominant team in a game like this. I couldn't agree more. Mark Scheifele, to me, is no doubt about it the lamplighter for me on this night. Not only for the 40 goals, but there's that point where he redirects the puck, it goes off the post, and then he misses the open net, and you're starting to think, is this going to go sour for him? Is the game going to turn? What I saw from that player who went and had luck going right straight to the front of the net is a guy who still makes the hard move, and rather than passing off, cuts to the middle, goes right down Broadway, beats his man there, just does that I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm faster than you mindset, which I think when a guy like that plays with that mindset, he goes to the net more often, he makes more happen. That's what happened tonight, and that's why I would agree 100%, Ken, that he is the lamplighter. Now, you got something to say before
just one last one. And we've talked a lot about Mark. That's his 9th game winner this year out of 40, Sean. So we've talked a lot in the past about empty net points and whatever else. Mark's been clutch for the Jets. 9 game winners out of 40 that he put in the back of the net. That's one more than Kyle Connor this year to lead the Jets. It's impressive.
Poopy Pants says, You guys suck. He gets one selfish goal. LOL. Oh, Poopy Pants. Poopy Pants.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for
carrying
coming
on carry on like he's got poop in his pants. He seems so upset. Poor guy. Anyways, that is our lamplighter of the evening. If you want to share with us your lamplighter, you probably should, because if you do, you are automatically entered to win a Frosty Delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale, brought to you by our friends at TransCanada Brewing Company. If you cannot wait for Kenny and Renny to give you a prize of your own Frosty Delicious 8-pack, you should head on down to TransCanada Brewing Company. Join them in their tap room at 1290 Kenniston, where they have, yes, lots of Frosty Delicious Lamplighter there, but they also have a ton of other really great beers and a ton of really great pizzas, good appetizers. If you are one of the people who are coming to the Kenny and Renny year ender, what I've started tagging as the Kenny and Renny year ender bender, you are going to get to try all that stuff, and it's going to be absolutely great. I can tell you right now, if you want to get a hold of Renny, if you're still interested in coming down, you direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your name and your email, and I will get you on the list. But at this stage, I have to be upfront and honest. The list at this stage is a reserve list, 250 person capacity. Every spot so far is accounted for, because everyone has gone crazy in reserving their spot on that list. So you have to think that some people on that list are going to run into a situation where they are not able to make it that night. The night will clash with one of their previous plans. So send me your name, get on the reserve list. I can't guarantee you a spot at the year-ender bender, but I can tell you that if a spot opens up, you will be the next in based on how you rank on the list. So you're in the ranking system already. If you're still interested in trying to get in there, you know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds, and I will get you on the reserve list. And I wanted to announce that Waiters is the winner from last show's Lamplighter competition. So Waiters, same deal. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Give me your full name and give me your email, and I will send you a voucher for a Frosty Delicious 8-pack of Lamplighter Amber Ale, brought to you by our friends at TransCanada Brewing Company. Ken, your Johnston Group got you covered. Play of the game.
Oh, that's something I haven't given a whole lot of thought to here, Sean. I'm gonna have to.
I've already given mine. I'll
I know
tell you what I said.
I did hear what you said as I was getting set, and I think I will just defer to you, and you can keep it.
Yeah, has to be. And someone else put that in there, and they're getting it. They're absolutely right on that. This is the kind of game that the Winnipeg Jets, or Rick Bowness has said this before, if you play that kind of game, you'll have a chance to win on every night. Whether you run into McDavid, who's got the hot hand and puts a couple goals in, it helps you stay close. And whether you run into a hot goaltender like you ran into on this night, if the Winnipeg Jets play that way, the Rick Bowness system, and play it that way with that kind of effort, they've got a chance to win on every night. And it is the reason that the Winnipeg Jets now have put the Nashville Predators a little further back in the rearview mirror, and as I would like to say, have put one foot in the already. We'll see what happens on the other side of things. Charlie Dufault says, Renny enjoys the illusion he's always right analyzer, but we know Kenny is the most cerebral analyzer on the podcast. LOL. Great job, guys. Thanks for tuning in, Charlie. Really appreciate your patronage. Thank you so much. And of course, that was the Johnston Group play of the game, brought to you by the Kenny and Renny OGs at the Johnston Group. You won't find two businesses with these same challenges, but you will find 30,000 businesses with Chambers Plan employee benefits, proudly administered by our friends at Johnston Group. Chambers Plan is Canada's #1 plan for employee benefits because it evolves with the way you work and live. The plan is run as a not-for-profit designed specifically to support small businesses, and its unique pooling strategy keeps rates stable so you won't have any surprises at your next renewal. Chambers Plan now comes with professional consulting on key financial, legal, and HR issues, and Teladoc telemedicine services are included with every health option. See how Chambers Plan can benefit your business by visiting chamberplan.ca. Ken, before we move on, I got to say, I feel somewhat attacked on the podcast tonight by the chat room. And I have to say, when I feel attacked by the chat room,
you know you're doing your job?
I absolutely love it. I love every last minute of it. I feed off your hate. Hate's
a strong word.
Keep sending it my way. And I will tell you this right now. I know that I'm on the right track when I get hate from the chat room, because some people can't stand being wrong and they need to lash out at me for being right. That's the way it's got to be. That's the way it's going to be. Ken, let's talk about, because I know that I'll get people's backs up with this one. Let's talk about the goaltending on this night. Tell me about Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah, I know that you're not necessarily in agreement, but I'm going to post my story on the link here. And was he overworked? No, not at all. Did he have to go toe-to-toe with UC Saros? Absolutely not. But he gave up no goals. To me, and the fact that he had no work in the second period only helps his cause. It doesn't diminish his cause. 28 save shutout. Did he have to face a barrage of high danger chances? Absolutely not. But on a night where it looked like the other guy at the other end wasn't going to give up anything, Connor Hellebuyck didn't let anything behind him. There were no bad fluky bounces behind him. You know, the chances that he had to stop, he was there. I mean, was there a great package of highlight reel saves? Absolutely not. But he did his job. So for me, I think Connor Hellebuyck deserves some praise. In a week where he lost a shutout with 13 seconds left, the fact that the Jets were very good in front of him and Hellebuyck took care of the rest, I give him credit. I mean, could we make the argument that UC Saros was the better goalie on the ice? Yes, but that doesn't mean he outplayed Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck gave up no goals. You can't say he was outplayed in my books.
So you nailed it there, and you know my reason. You said, did he have like a highlight pack of saves tonight? No, that's the deal. Connor Hellebuyck's greatest accomplishment tonight was not falling asleep at certain points of the game in his crease. Absolutely. I mean, this is Connor Hellebuyck was rarely challenged in this game. I know that some people had put in Connor Hellebuyck for the Johnson Group Got You Covered player of the game. That to me, that is just so far off. Like, and this is why I've got a problem with that, Ken, because on nights like that, it does not give enough credit to what the Winnipeg Jets as a team did in playing defense tonight. To say that Connor Hellebuyck went out and in any way saved the Jets' bacon on this night,
I didn't say that.
Is to say, I'm just saying, I'm hearing some people say that, because I think a lot of times what happens is, one of the people came in and said, I'm assuming that Hellebuyck was the first star of the night. This goes back to an argument I've had a lot of times on this. I am a big believer in if a guy gets the shutout and doesn't deserve that shutout, but it's just automatically the guy got the shutout, he's the first star of the game, which didn't happen. And congratulations to whoever chose the stars here on this night. But not putting Connor Hellebuyck first as the first star of the game was the right move in this game. Connor Hellebuyck did not need to be great. Connor Hellebuyck needed to be an average or less than average goaltender on this night to get a shutout on this night. This was not a challenging game for him, and it's because the Winnipeg Jets played such a phenomenal game. I'm not going to bend over backwards to give Connor Hellebuyck praise for saying that because he played behind a team that absolutely dominated the other team and didn't allow them to touch the puck or shoot the puck from high danger areas, that he deserves praise for sticking around in that game and saving a couple of pucks here or there. Connor Hellebuyck was, at best, and this is where the list starts on this night, Connor Hellebuyck was at best the fourth best player on the ice tonight, and he probably wasn't even that. He probably wasn't anywhere near that tonight. The best player in this game tonight was UC Saros. The next best player was Nikolai Ehlers, and the next best player was Mark Scheifele. It's a weird situation. I know it's pretty hard. You'd have to be pretty bold to not put. It was bold enough putting him as the second star, and never mind not putting him as one of the three stars of the game. But the reason the Winnipeg Jets are successful on this night, the credit for it goes first to Nikolai Ehlers, second to Mark Scheifele. And the reason that this game isn't a complete and total blowout is UC Saros on this night. So to me, I get it. People want to look at this and they want to celebrate and they want to say Connor Hellebuyck is the reason the Winnipeg Jets are doing what they're doing. Let's be honest with ourselves on this night. The Winnipeg Jets took care of business and Connor Hellebuyck didn't have to. Yes.
Couple things.
I'm not saying that he's not a good goaltender or had a bad game because of that, but Connor Hellebuyck was a non-factor in this game because the Winnipeg Jets did a great job of making him a non-factor in this game.
A couple quick things. 9 high danger chances in the game when you include power play situations. So to say he wasn't tested, I don't think that's completely
He
accurate.
wasn't tested.
Second of all, 11 consecutive starts down the stretch and 62 on the season. So for me, this is more contextual. The fact that he's able to pitch a shutout in game 79 is still important, even though it is not a busy...
He didn't pitch a shutout.
He did so. He didn't give up any
shutout.
0 goals, Sean.
Pitching
That's
a shutout. He played on a team that allowed no goals. That's about the extent of it today. Pitching a shutout What do you have to do to pitch a shutout in a baseball game? You have to be fantastic. You have to be phenomenal. Connor Hellebuck was on a team that was phenomenal tonight.
Good question. So here, time the broker.
You are overselling it. You are overselling it.
I am not. 9 high danger chances, Sean, is not a slow night.
Put that one back up. Put that one back up.
Perfect.
David Riddick would have had a shutout on this night. Undoubtedly. You tell me one of those chances that would have ended up in the back of the net.
After not starting for 11 straight games, you're guaranteeing a shutout for Riddick tonight?
Guaranteed shutout.
Oh, boy. Okay.
On that game, watch the shots. Where, like, I can't.
Sean, I watched the game just like you did.
I can't think of one time he was tested.
Well, Cody Glass off the crossbar, he wasn't tested. That was right beside the crease. That was a good shot in the third period. It was 2-0. It doesn't count as a shot on goal. It doesn't mean it's not a high danger chance.
Well, he didn't save it. What are you talking about?
You said he wasn't tested.
How was he tested by a crossbar shot? He got beat.
It's a grade A scoring chance.
And the guy hit the post. He didn't save it. What are you giving him credit for a post shot?
I'm just saying, to say he didn't have any chances, I don't think is accurate. So I'd love to go through, see who had the high danger chances. I agree, he wasn't overly tested, but I thought there were a couple of power play chances that were solid. Colton Sissons had a nice redirection in tight. Were there a barrage of scoring chances? No, but to say there were none, I just don't think that's 100% accurate. Did he have to be great? No, he wasn't the first star. But the cumulative effect. No, what I said was in game 62 of the season for him, and in 79. Okay, Sean. Markstrom was the better. Markstrom outplayed him on Wednesday. Today he made sure he was not outplayed, even though he was the less busy goalie.
But let's be honest, okay? If we take the shots, by that way of thinking, if we take the shots that he faced tonight and it's a 2-2 tie game, what we're talking about is Connor Hellebuck having an off night. Of course,
but it wasn't.
Almost stealing it away. But your whole point is that, like, he made sure he didn't get outplayed. By
not giving up anything.
This is one goaltender that was challenged and went crazy. Like, if not allowing not a lot of high danger opportunities into the back of the net is the standard that we're setting here, then sure, we can step over that line if that's what we're trying for on this night. Anyways, I had to say this. If I find it here quickly, I brought it up before, but Maul is saying weird to compare Hellebuck to a pylon, Sean. I'm loving the fact that Maul, who tries to be the biggest heel in the Kenny and Renny show, is I've superseded him. I've become the bigger heel than Maul. Who I guess we should have expected this. I always wondered what was going to happen to Maul when the Jets made the playoffs and him running down the field with that flag of the Jets are going to miss the playoffs when he couldn't do that anymore. I was wondering what was going to happen. And this is what we're seeing.
Bick Ronis.
This is what we're seeing. Bick Ronis. Well, I haven't seen.
Is he here tonight?
Did Bick show up?
Haven't seen him yet.
I don't know what's going on.
Quick update on the out-of-town scoreboard since we can't agree on anything so far. 2-0 for the Vancouver Canucks. So a bit of a strange development. It's certainly not over. It's still the second period, but in the rash of inconsistency for both of these hockey clubs, the Calgary Flames could be 2 back unless they rally late with only 2 games left to play. So making next week
the Jets essentially make the playoffs tonight.
Well, no,
all the less interesting.
How? They still have to win another game. You can't put them straight in. They're only 2 back, bud.
You're saying it's more interesting that the Jets go
No,
up
no,
and only need either.
You can't anoint them with 3 left. They still need at least 1 win. And if they don't win on Monday,
they play the San Jose Sharks next.
Sean, you anointed them 2 months ago, so I don't expect you to do anything but put them in. But Come on.
Okay, all right.
It's not
if you
over
wanna take
tonight.
that-
It's
if
not
you wanna
over
take
tonight.
that while everyone has panicked, and I've been the one person who's steadfastly
I applaud you
said
for
that the
that.
Winnipeg Jets are going to, like, everything that we've looked at here is numbers. The Jets were always going to make it because of the numbers, right? The Calgary
Yes.
Flames were always going to have to turn around and stop being the Calgary Flames to get there, right? Well, the Calgary Flames are being the Calgary Flames tonight. What we're seeing from Calgary against the Vancouver Canucks is not unexpected, like you're saying. This is who the Calgary Flames are. They're a team that goes out and loses an important game to the Chicago Blackhawks, comes out and shows what they're capable of against the Winnipeg Jets, and then turns around and looks like they're on their way to losing a game to the Vancouver Canucks tonight. The Nashville Predators weren't always what they were. Like, you have to your point, we have to give the Nashville Predators credit for getting to this point, but in the end, the Nashville Predators, this was their moment. This was them running off the edge of the cliff and looking down and seeing they don't belong here anymore. There's no ground underneath their feet anymore. Like, what is happening right now isn't a surprising outcome, and the fact that or if Calgary loses here today, it doesn't make any next week any more interesting. It is far less interesting, because now all they need is one loss against either I know they play
Predators.
the Sharks, but they play the Predators, or the Jets to win one game, and the Jets play the San Jose Sharks. Essentially, what you're hoping for at this stage, especially if Calgary loses, is you're hoping for Calgary to beat the Nashville Predators, because other than that, you can take care of your business. If in the next game the Nashville Predators beat No, I think well, here, let's get into that. Who are you hoping the Jets, if you're the Jets, who are you hoping for in the next game between the Predators and the Flames? Especially if the Flames lose.
Well, if Calgary loses, they'll be out immediately.
No. They'll still have
Not
to
tonight,
lose
but
one
if they
more.
lost, if they lose to tonight
To the
and to
Predators.
Nashville, if
To
they
the
lose,
Predators.
Yeah.
But I think your expectation is that I think you want the Flames to win the next one, because your expectation, if you're the Jets, is that you'll take care of the Calgary Flames with a win over the San Jose Sharks. So you would want Calgary to beat Nashville, because then Nashville remains 3 behind you with 4 games left. And
Then
you have
5. They would be 5 out if the Flames won on Monday.
Sorry, there
And
you
the
go,
Jets
and
won.
then be eliminated.
They would both be
right?
out.
So that's what you're hoping for.
I guess
That's what you're hoping for. Yeah, you're hoping for the Flames to lose here tonight, and then the Flames to beat the Nashville Predators next, and you beat the San Jose Sharks, and then you're clinched before they even have to head on the road.
Well, no, there would still be 2 games left for the Jets and 1 for the Flames, and if the Jets lost both, they could still.
Because if
they have the
Jets,
tiebreaker.
Yeah,
sorry.
they've got the
Gotcha.
tiebreaker. So that's it. Yeah, there's a scenario, and a very, very possible
By the end of Monday.
Before they even head on the road, before those 2 big important games, or it looked like they were going to be big important games against Minnesota and Colorado, they will be non-factors if the score holds up in Vancouver tonight, if Calgary beats the Nashville Predators, and if the Winnipeg Jets beat the San Jose Sharks. And I think at least 2 of those 3 are very likely outcomes, maybe even all 3 of them. Anyway, why don't you give Sweet Lou a shout out?
Sure. For all the folks here in the chat or listening on the podcast later on who have realty needs that they'd like to have met, you can contact our main man, Lou Furlan, at Real LePage Dynamic Realty. Whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whether you're just curious what that house at the end of the street is listed for, or maybe you're looking to move to another neighborhood, Lou can take care of business for you. You can reach him at 204-791-9971 or at the office 204-989-5000. His email is lou@loufurlan.ca. That's LOU at LOUFURLAN.ca, and his website with all of his listings, www.loufurlan.ca. Lou Furlan, excellent realtor, excellent human being, and excellent supporter of the community, and including this program, for which we are very thankful.
Absolutely love Sweet Lou. And I also wanted to give a shout out to our friends at Cambrian Credit Union, who we love the fact that they're back and with us here. And I just wanted to throw up this nice fancy graphic that they sent us. Absolutely gorgeous. And talk about them for a second, because Ken, both you and I have mortgages with Cambrian Credit Union. And we are excited to talk today about their cashback mortgage. Cambrian Credit Union's cashback mortgage is back. Get pre-approved for a Cambrian mortgage by May 31st and qualify for up to $3,500 cash back. Apply, book, and meet online by visiting cambrian.mb.ca/cashback. For details, subject to credit approval, conditions apply. And I am what is it? Fear of missing out? FMO?
FOMO.
I've got FOMO. I've got FOMO because I missed out on the cashback mortgage. I did not get up to $3,500 back on my mortgage, but I have to say I'm very happy with our mortgage provider, and we've got a great rate.
Same
and
here.
We went out of our way to take our business to Cambrian Credit Union, who, as I've said in the past, my father-in-law banked with, my wife has always banked with. We've been customers for a long time, and there's a reason why. They do absolutely great work. Yeah, the kids are as well. Ken, I'm going to let it be you picking the direction we go into. What's something that stood out for you tonight that you just are itching to hit the buffet about?
Well, Ehlers, I know we talked about him a little bit, but I just think that he was such a driving force, and it's interesting. Because on that early power play, he had the great setup to Scheifele. And then the second thing that happened on that power play was something that was missed by the men wearing stripes, or the men in stripes thought Ehlers flopped on the play. There's no other way to describe it. Colton Sissons caught him in the chin. He was clearly bleeding. There was blood on the ice near the faceoff circle. And on a night where Ehlers went to the bench and was ticked off about it, he had even more jump when he came out for the remainder of the game. I thought he was absolutely awesome. He did an exceptional job of pushing back the opponent's defense. He really dictated play and imposed his will on the Nashville Predators. And Sean, quite frankly, the way he was skating, he forced Blake Wheeler and Vladislav Nemestikov to up their pace in the game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's any argument here. Because he was flying, those guys got going to try to keep up with them. And I thought that line was excellent again tonight. Very active. Ehlers was all over the place. And honestly, that whole sequence on the goal, Sean, starting in the defensive zone, passes in his feet, he kicks it directly to Blake Wheeler intentionally instead of playing it with his stick. He accelerates through the neutral zone. Wheeler gets it back to him. Ehlers chips it by the defender and absolutely is exploding into the zone. And his patience level is exceptional because instead of letting a clapper go, he knows Neil Pionk is coming. But he doesn't just give it to Pionk right away. He waits till the Predators over-pursue, and then he finds the trailer, who makes an absolutely perfect shot to score the insurance marker at 1:36 of the third period. And the Jets are on a roll after having such a dominant second where they only got one goal to come out skating the way that they did and scoring early. That was such a big moment for their team. I thought Ehlers was just absolutely fabulous today. Rick Bowness thought it was his best game of the season. Hard to disagree. I just thought he was awesome in the game. And that's the Nikolai Ehlers that the Jets need down the stretch, much like we talked about Mark Scheifele. These guys are impact players. And I think if you're Rick Bowness and you're the Winnipeg Jets coaching staff or the players, you look at Nikolai Ehlers and you are thinking, what it must have been about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Sean, where Nikolai was talking about not having his legs quite at full speed, kind of like a little bit of a pitcher who's going through, a bit of a dead arm syndrome. And make no mistake, Nikolai Ehlers at 70% capacity in terms of his skating, still faster than most players. But when he's got closer to 100% of his feet and legs going, he's a dangerous player to try to contend with for the opposition. And that's the kind of player that can have a massive impact on a playoff series against a favorite like the Vegas Golden Knights or Edmonton Oilers or Colorado Avalanche if the Jets punch their ticket and play the top seed in the West in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, I got to say this. I wonder if Rick Bowness takes a look at this, and we had a lot of stuff going on. And I'll tell you this, our chat room at times can get things wrong. Tonight is a perfect example of that. Let me tell you that much. But one of the things that I thought that they were all over quite often was the Nick Ehlers saga and the questioning of why he wasn't getting the ice time. I know that there's maybe a little bit of injury talk in there, but I did not see the reasons for the lack of opportunity that we saw from Nick Ehlers. And I'm just wondering what it's been like. I mean, I wonder if Rick Bowness takes a look at what the Winnipeg Jets are doing now. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. They've looked fast. Nick Ehlers has been leading the charge on this team, I've thought, offensively, as he did tonight. When he gets skating like that, the other team is on their heels. The Jets have overwhelmed teams in those 3 games, and I think that his speed has been an absolutely huge part of that. I just wonder if Rick Bowness takes a look back and thinks kind of like, what was I missing? You know what I mean? Why was I not seeing this? Because I'm a real big believer in the idea of proper pacing for players. As a coach, it's your job to get players on the ice a certain amount of time. And you know what? You were in on that conversation with John Hines earlier on today, and he talked about that, and Tyson Barrie about getting him into a certain amount of minutes, what that can do for a player, and really agreeing with that. I mean, people can say what they want about Nick Ehlers not being up to speed, but shouldn't the idea have been to bring him up to speed by getting him on the ice more often, not parking a guy like that for as many minutes as he was not playing? I mean, I take a look at what he's doing right now, and I think, yeah, he's being given more opportunity. He's getting on the ice, and he's in rhythm, and he's going faster. This is the reason why he's going faster. I don't know. I'm not, again, and I always couch everything I say by the Rick Bowness forgot more about hockey today than I've learned or know about it in my entire life. But I think that he got this one wrong. What he's seeing from Nick Ehlers right now is that however it worked out, and a lot of it had to do with moving Mark Scheifele over to the wing and Nemesnikov up onto that second line. But the amount of ice time he is getting because of those changes, I think, has only allowed him to fall into rhythm. And it's been a mistake by the coaching staff to not put him in the proper rhythm.
Yeah, I'd put it this way, and how I described it at the time, I still feel the same way. Did Rick need to get him more ice time? Yes. Was Nikolai Ehlers ready for 20 minutes a night at that time when he didn't have his legs, and when his legs, by his own admission, felt heavy on some of those nights? Absolutely not. So there needed to be a happy medium. 13:50 was not enough. 20 minutes would have been too much. So for me, yes, he needed to play him more to allow him to build up his pacing and all of the other things, endurance and all of those things, because when the explosiveness is not there, you can't play him 20 minutes because you're hurting him, because he can't give you the explosiveness. I don't think he needed to play 18. I think maybe 16 to 18 would have made sense. 20 was too much. So I'm okay with the reduction in what his minutes should be, but 13:50 was way too much of a pull back on the accelerator. To me, there needed to be a happy medium between those two things. And I'm not sure it's just as simple as saying battling through and playing him 20 minutes would have made his legs feel the way they did tonight. But I think he needed to get him more minutes than what he was giving him. There's no doubt about that. We're in full agreement on that. But I don't agree with the fans that said Ehlers must play 20 minutes every single night. When his legs are there, yes, 18 to 20 by all means. At the time, 3 weeks ago, I don't think that would have been doing him a service either by playing him that much, but he needed to be playing more than he was playing at the time.
No doubt, and let's make it clear, I'm not saying that 20
And I know
minutes
I'm not saying you didn't say that. I said other people were saying that, Sean. Other people were saying that.
Okay, right. So let's talk to the chat room right now and the people who were saying that and give a perfect example of why you are saying what you're saying in this situation. Everyone out there who thought Nikolai Ehlers had a great game tonight, raise your hand, and you don't need to write it into the chat room. But like I sense, hundreds of hands going up across the city of Winnipeg right now.
Sure.
And if you take a look at it, what was his ice time tonight? He had 16:04 ice time. So this is what I'm talking about. I thought the entire time that we kept asking Rick Bowness about what's going on with Nick Ehlers, and it was always like there was this excuse. There was excuse that, Nick Ehlers, we can't get him playing now because this happened, and there was this penalty, and I had to get these guys on the ice, and I had to do this, and we talked about it on this show. There was always this feeling that the dominoes would start falling, and they would always end with knocking down Nick Ehlers' ice time, and I always thought that was problematic. Here tonight is a perfect example of Nick Ehlers, once you got him a little bit more ice time, he's taking off, and I truly believe that is one of the reasons he's taking off, not because he's coming around, not because it's a certain amount of time after injury. I thought that he came back after the injury and showed a lot of flashes of his speed. And I think the reason why he did early, but I think the reason why he never got up to it and maintained it was because when you're playing 12 minutes a game on some nights and you're Nick Ehlers, that's not enough ice time for a guy like that. And I honestly think it's been a detriment to the team because, like I said, Nick Ehlers gets skating fast and he gets defenders' skates pointed in the wrong direction. If your toes are pointed towards your own net, you are not a threat to score on the opposing team. And Nick Ehlers, better than anyone else on the Winnipeg Jets, gets defenders' skates pointed towards their own net. You want to know why the Winnipeg Jets are doing what they're doing the last little while? Nick Ehlers is an absolutely huge reason for that. And that's why whoever did pick the 3 stars on the night tonight, they didn't get it all right, but they got Nick Ehlers as the first star of the game right. Congratulations to them, because it always takes courage to not hand the first star of the game over to the goaltender, even if that goaltender benefited from a phenomenal team game on that night. See how I got the last word on that, Ken? That's how you do it. Ken, let's shut this thing down here. You did a great job here tonight, our chat room.
Hey, quick one. Sorry. People have been asking about Cole Perfetti. Interesting development today. Cole Perfetti was on the ice for the first time at the end of the morning skate in a red non-contact jersey. Rick Bone is saying it's still going to be another couple weeks for sure before he's ready to get moving. And Rick did add that the Jets need to ensure that they're still playing in 2 weeks' time in order to give Cole a chance to return to the lineup. But I know I expressed some maybe caution or concern that Cole Perfetti may not return at all. But I think today it was a very light skating day with Jake Wolf. But I think it was important for him to get out there. And the fact that Rick gave a timetable after being very vague the last time he spoke about Cole Perfetti when I asked about him, that's an important thing for the Winnipeg Jets. And folks need to still remember, that's not to say that Cole Perfetti is going to jump right in and be a top 6 contributor, but if the Jets can get him back in the lineup, he can help their lineup at some point. There's no doubt about that.
No doubt. Ken, great job tonight. Chat room, great job as always. I want to end this by, before we do that, we have to hand out our Home Field Dig Deeper Award. And of course, it is time to throw a spotlight on the comments and choose a standout for the Home Field Dig Deeper Award. It's going to be hard on this night, Ken. Like I said, the chat room is just swinging and missing over and over and over again. But I am going to say this. This needs to pop up here. In Math We Trust says we won against arguably one of the best goalies in the league. I think this is an important point. I think it is the most important point because I think we talk so many times in this chat room, and I talk to Jets fans, and Jets fans feel like they're getting goalied all the time. The Jets fans got goalied on this night. UC Saros was the best player on the night. The Jets fans take a look at this as a scenario where we could be talking about an entirely different game if the Winnipeg Jets wouldn't have just stuck to the game plan that was set out for them, the blueprint, the Rick Bowness blueprint. They stayed with it. They never strayed from it. And the reason they never strayed from it is because they believed in it, despite the fact where it was a night where it looked like things just weren't going to turn out. They didn't open up. They didn't go to snake. Followed the system, and that is a huge point being made here by in the Math We Trust, who says once again we won against arguably one of the best goalies in the league. And you know what? I like the name too, In the Math We Trust, because In the Math We Trust is the reason this whole time I've been saying that the Winnipeg Jets are going to make the playoffs, because the math dictated that that's what was going to happen. People just need to believe in the math. So thank you so much to In the Math We Trust for your winning comment. And just like In the Math We Trust, Home Field is always going to dig deeper to find the best marketing. Sorry. You interrupted my read. Wow. You're going to have to talk to Home Field about that. So I'm going to start again and thank In the Math We Trust for his winning comment. And just like in the math we trust, Home Field is always going to dig deeper to find the best marketing solution for your company. Find out how at myhomefield.ca. Great job. You know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your full name and send me your email, and I will send you a voucher for your very own Kenny and Renny /Homefield trunk shovel. It's a thing of beauty. Get it while you still need it, because the weather's turning, people. Looks like it's going to get warm and that snow is going to go away. So you might as well get that Kenny and Renny /Homefield trunk shovel while you can still use it. Ken, great job. Chat room. Whatever. You were here tonight. Thanks for that. But I want to give a shout out, of course, as always. If you appreciate the conversations that happen in these spaces, please appreciate our sponsors who fight to have those conversations still going in these spaces. For us, that's Vittorio Rossi, TransCanada Brewing Company, the Johnston Group, Lou Ferlin, Cambrian Credit Union, and Home Field. Thank you so much to them. Thank you to you all. Let's reconvene on Monday after another Sportsnet game in which they play the San Jose Sharks, looking for their first win against the San Jose Sharks this season, and maybe, just maybe, an opportunity to clinch a playoff spot in that game. We'll talk to you all after that.
The Kenny and Renny Show is brought to you by Home Field, Cambrian Credit Union, Lou Ferlin, TransCanada Brewing, Vittorio Rossi, and Johnston Group.